Hey everyone, it's SG Holyman, and welcome back to another video review. This time I'm going to be reviewing the first-person shooter from EA and DICE, Battlefield 1. So traditionally, the Battlefield series is not known for its single-player campaign, but the campaign in Battlefield 1 is actually pretty good. I like what they did with the structure of the story, which is to tell 5 separate short stories that take place during different parts of the war, and this really allows them to focus on the human emotion of World War One and just the terror of that war and just the brutality that came along with it. And most of the stories are pretty good. There's one that will say is not bad. It's just not as strong as all the other stories. Uh, but that being said, they're all pretty well acted, and it just captures World War One pretty well. Even though they did take some liberties with the game, there's a little bit more machine guns than you would have seen in World War One, but they kind of had to, or else this was kind of would be a boring game. But I will say, getting into the gameplay, which, by the way, for those who normally watch my reviews, you know that I try to separate gameplay from the story and aesthetics. But I mean, this is a Battlefield game; you kind of know what you're getting. But as usual, the gunplay is pretty good. Like I said, there's more machine guns than traditionally you would have seen in World War One, but they uh, had to do that to make a fun game. But I will say that you can get by with using bolt action rifles. They feel pretty good, and all the pistols feel pretty good too. I'll say that. Uh, Also, in the campaign, stealth is actually a viable option. They kind of took what they had built for stealth in Battlefield Hardline and improved it, and I just feel like the stealth feels really good in the single player campaign. I also will say that, of course, the game looks great, but the game also runs pretty smoothly too. There's a few graphical hiccups that you'll see, but I did play a little bit last night. This is Tuesday the 25th, and they just released patch 1.02, and they fixed a little bit of the graphical issues. Uh, but regardless, this is a pretty fun game to play, and the campaign is pretty good. So now I will get into the multiplayer. I forgot to mention this in the previous section, but the game does have really good sound design, which is nothing new because the Battlefield games normally do have good sound design. But anyway, that level of polish and detail does carry over into the multiplayer, which after playing for an extensive period of time, I can tell you that multiplayer is fun as hell. It's fast and it's fluid, and the old guns that they use for this game really give it its own character. And I just really like how you're not reliant on modern technology. You have to use, these old guns. And I really feel that this game is more skill based than the last games. Um, with all that being said, I feel like the game has decent progression. Uh, there's no carry. Well, okay, the pistols carry over between all the classes, but uh, you have different classes for your different guns for your different classes, and each one you unlock each gun with war bonds, and you have a class level that unlocks different weapons as you go for that class. And yeah, it's a pretty decent, and you can customize all your weapons in the right way. Uh, so yeah, customization is pretty good. Uh, the game is also fairly well balanced. I will say though that the light machine guns do feel a little bit underpowered, which kind of sucks. Uh, but like I said, most of the weapons feel pretty good to use, and you can actually do pretty well with a bolt action, like I said before. Um, where am I? The vehicles this time around are pretty good to control. They're not perfect, but I usually like flying around sometimes, and it's kind of fun to just fly around the maps. And speaking of the maps, there's 9, I believe, and most of them are pretty good. Uh, you know, again, traditional Battlefield, but they're all pretty big maps, and each one has different spots for sniping and has different like little pathways that you can take to lead to conflict points. And the really good maps are perfect. And I don't remember the names of all the maps, sorry, but there's like one that takes place in a city, and that's my favorite map. But even the maps I don't like, they're still pretty fun. Uh, where am I in the scripts? Oh yeah. Uh, and then speaking of modes, uh, most of the modes are most of the classic modes from Battlefield are back. So Conquest, Team Deathmatch, all that good stuff. Um, they're still great. They're better than ever, actually. I traditionally play Conquest on hardcore, but the hardcore servers are not up yet. Dang it, Dice. Unlock the hardcore servers, please. Sorry. And the new mode that they added this time around is Operations. And I love this mode. It's a kind of a mix between Rush and Conquest. And the really good matches take about an hour to complete. And it's almost like they added a single player aspect to multiplayer. And each time you go in, they'll give you some historical context for what's going on during this battle. And I don't know, it's just really fun. Sorry. And like after the match is over, there'll be a voice telling you like, oh, if this happened, then this might have happened in World War One, or this is what happened, and I don't know. It's really good. I haven't played War Pigeons yet, but it looks interesting. I don't know. It's just capture the flag, but with a pigeon. So it might be fun. I'll have to try it out. Um, Also, the environmental destruction, I didn't write this down in the script, but I'm glad I remembered it, is really good. Uh, I like how like the mortar rounds, not mortar rounds, but you know what I'm talking about. All the big explosions can leave craters in the ground, and you can use the craters to your advantage for cover. And I don't know, it's just really cool, and the level of destruction is bigger and better than ever in this game. And last thing I want to talk about with multiplayer is the behemoths. So the losing side will get a big vehicle that they can use. It'll be either a train, a battleship, or a zeppelin. And if used correctly, it can change the tide of the match. And I don't know, they're just fun to use, and it is a big spectacle when you actually do bring one down. So yeah, that's all I have for multiplayer. So now I'll get on to my final thoughts. Battlefield 1 is an amazing game. It has a single player campaign that really captures the feeling of World War One, and the multiplayer is fast paced and fun as hell. I forgot to bring up one major complaint I have about the game. That is, the loading times are pretty bad. And that's really all I have as far as major complaints. All the other stuff is just small nitpicks and balance issues. But otherwise, this is a really solid shooter. And if you're into Battlefield or just multiplayer shooters in general, I highly recommend picking this one up. So that is it for this video game review. If you liked what you've seen, you can go ahead and like this video, share it with your friends, and subscribe to my channel for more video game reviews, let's plays, streams, and all that good gaming stuff. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you next time.